Will Levis, with 4 touchdowns and no interceptions in his rookie debut, is he primed for another dream start? Or will Pittsburgh Steelers welcome him to the NFL properly? Head over to our channel so you don't miss out on exclusive insights and lineups for Week 9 Thursday Night Football. And welcome back to another episode of DFS Insights Presents Fanduel Single Game Breakdown. I am David Geislinger, and I'm joined by my cousin, David Grant Jr., your seasoned DFS pro. We got a matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely, DP. This video is a bit of a marathon, but that's because you're getting not one, but two unique viewpoints for analyzing this single game slate. We're dishing out rock solid value picks and even having some daring contrarian selections that could transform your DFS lineups into cash generating machines. And guess what? If money wasn't enough, this will add an extra layer of excitement to your game watching experience. We are your Thursday and Sunday night DFS gurus, dissecting every single game slate just for you. The excitement never stops, and we're here to guide you through it. Don't forget to give it that like. Don't forget to hit that like button. Uh, Please also subscribe. Uh, Show some love. You won't miss any of our future shows. We're going to be here through the end of the football year with you. Again, every Thursday and Sunday night. It's all about winning together, and we can't wait to have you along for the ride.
And don't forget to mention we will be going into the NBA season here shortly. But also stay tuned to the end of the video because that's where we have already put the work into creating the lineups, and we're going to share those lineups with you and our thought process behind why we made those lineups. So consider that kind of like your backstage pass into how we generate lineups. But that's not all. We're also going to give you our top picks for MVP and that ultimate value play that could set you over to win that 100K to first $9 entry tournament today. So, Dave, let's go ahead and start the conversation off with the general overview of these two great teams, the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right. Yeah, we got quite the matchup here coming up. We got the 3-4 Tennessee Titans that will be visiting the 4-3 Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, uh, yeah, um, it's not quite as exciting as I thought it, maybe could have been 3 years ago or 4 years ago. But, you know, I am, I spent some time out in Nashville, Tennessee for a couple years. So I'm not going to lie, besides being a diehard 49er fan, I do like to watch and root for the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry, we got a running back up here, 16K. He's a lot of fun to watch. DeAndre Hopkins, another fun guy to watch. Um, and then we the Steelers, have generational talent. Well, I'm not saying that this new team does, but just as a squad. Uh, so However, after looking over just some basic stats, the over under on this game is 36.5 points.
Oh boy.
So to me, that tells me like it's going to be a low scoring affair. What do you think about that, Dave?
Yeah, I saw that too, and to me that kind of means pull out them kickers. So with the spread sitting at 2.5, favoring Steelers, and I believe you said on previous shows too, you get basically three for just being the home team, and it doesn't even look like we can get to three on this one. So I feel like it's not going to be the most entertaining game by any means. You can see that the Tennessee Titans do run the ball about 5% more than the Steelers, obviously with Derrick Henry being the beast that he is, and why wouldn't you? That's kind of how I see this game playing out. Tennessee being a little bit more of the run heavy offense, while the Pittsburgh Steelers being more of the air attack. Especially with the news that Kenny Pickett plans on playing, I wasn't as confident in Mitch Trubisky being the quarterback. But Kenny Pickett, 50-50 on this. And just looking at the overall ratings, it just seems like a very, low scoring affair just by any means, that I can describe. I don't have too much really to say other than let's dive into these to these players, and hopefully we can point out the stars and those value plays, and help our audience out.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if we go ahead and just get over to the slate. Yep, I see you got it pulled up there. So it looks like Derrick Henry, even though he is questionable, this guy's just a fucking straight up beast. He it says he was limited at practice ahead of Thursday's game. I, you know, I I think Derrick Henry will be playing in the game, especially on a Thursday night game. Um, is he going to be on any type of snap count restriction or anything? I don't know. Um, but if he, once I see the designation removed and it's like, okay, yeah, he's officially in, then I'll feel a lot better about, you know, going to him, especially with him being the most expensive person on the slate. Um, we got a quarterback I've never heard of with Will Levis. And it looks like he's getting the start again after having a uh, magical game versus Atlanta, where he threw 19 for 29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And that was against Atlanta's sixth-ranked overall defense.
I know that's crazy. That was crazy to watch.
Yeah, did you get a chance to see some of that?
Well, via red zone, you got to see all those
Yeah.
touchdowns, and it just seems like it was him
Wow.
on most of the show. So
Yeah, that's what's up. And yep, thank the football gods. We don't have to see Mitch Trubisky out there. I'd rather see, you know, Pickett at 50% than Mitchell Trubisky at 110%. So, um, and so for Pittsburgh, yeah, we got George Pickens. His numbers have been looking pretty nice. He seems to be the pretty clear-cut number one receiver over there. Um, for Pittsburgh, we also got Deontay Johnson. Um, I mean, yeah, he's coming off a 14 target game. That's what's up. Eight catches on four 8 catches, 14 targets, 85 yards. He does not have a touchdown yet this season. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get his first TD at home. What are some of your thoughts on some of these guys here in this upper echelon tier?
So in this higher tier, don't really disagree with any of those points. Derrick Henry, I do believe he's going to play. It seems like an ankle injury. It says he's limited practice. I think if it was of some kind of significance, he would at least sat out Monday, or even today, Tuesday, and then maybe got limited in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or excuse me, Wednesday, and then maybe been questionable up until game time. But I have a feeling he's going to play, and I think they're going to utilize him quite a bit. Will Levis, he did have the 4 touchdown passes, but I'm not sold that he's going to have another one of those performances. I think that was very rare. I mean, I'm glad it happened for him. Rookie debut, shooting out 4 touchdowns, and then I believe DeAndre Hopkins was the star of that on the other end. He ended up with 3 touchdowns that game, which basically were his only 3 touchdowns all year. So it seems like at least Levis and Hopkins had a connection where Tannehill and Hopkins did not. So that would be interesting to see if that continues. I don't see it being as eventful as this.
Yeah.
It might be, a possibility now. Mika Fitzpatrick went out; he'll be out this game, so that kind of hurts the secondary for the Steelers. Um, However, Tennessee Titans have given up an average of about 3.6 sacks a game, and
Mm.
when you have the Steelers with T.J. Watt on the other side over there, who's already has, I believe, 8 sacks this year. And the team has a total of about 22 sacks. So, they're hungry for this rookie quarterback. So we'll see how he can hold up against them. I'm going to be leaning more on these next ones, George Pickens and DeAndre Johnson, because I believe Steelers will pull this off and it will be through the air. I don't have any faith. We'll talk about that in the next of the tiers, but in their run game. But I believe Pickens and DeAndre Johnson are, quality quarterbacks, and if Pickett can come back and be semi-healthy to get it to them, I believe that would be good. And DeAndre Hopkins, he is questionable, but I believe it's a toe injury, if I'm not mistaken, and he had 2 limited practice, so I believe he will play. And if Levis can get him the ball, I believe he'll be good. But maybe I believe once his, I need to see it again to believe it. So
Yeah. Yep. Hey, you're not the only one.
moving down to this mid tier, Najee Harris. As I stated previously, I don't like the running backs from Pittsburgh. He hasn't really, to me, done too much. I mean, 7 carries, 13 yards, 14.53, 14.37. I mean, hasn't even broken 75 yards. 1 rushing touchdown all year. So there's that. So, I mean, case closed for me at least. I might have him. I'll definitely be under the field on him. Malik Willis, surprising why he's 10K. They were supposed to share him, and Levis were supposed to share the duties when Tannehill's out, but clearly after the performance from Levis last time, I don't think he's going to get any playing time, barring an unfortunate injury to Levis. Warren,
Yeah.
I don't know too much about him, but like I said, Steelers running backs do not excite me at all. Once again, 1 rushing touchdown, can't even break 50 yards rushing, and I believe Tannehill is questionable, but short week he won't play, especially when they can sit him based on Levis's performance last time. So what do you feel about these 4 I call mid-tier players?
Mid-tier.
But 4, yeah.
Yeah, kind of, the middle of the road, and then obviously, defense, kickers, that type of stuff. Like you said, I don't really see myself getting to many of the running backs for Pittsburgh. It seems to be a running back by committee, and they don't seem to be scoring many touchdowns at all, let alone rushing ones. So, 3 total rushing touchdowns all season.
Yeah.
I don't think they're just going to start now. So, going down. Oh, the Steelers defense. Steelers defense at 9,500. I think this will probably be a popular play. I think it will be a great popular play. I think I'm gonna even get extra crazy and contrarian, and even have a lineup with the Pittsburgh defense as my MVP. Put that up there. It'll be 1% owned, 1.5. Definitely not more than 2%.
I don't know. I've seen too many of those dang defenses in those MVPs. And I always yell at them. But to be honest, if this was the time for me to do it, I think this would be the game. To be honest.
So, yeah, because we got so we got the Titans, who on their road this year they're 0-3. They're going into the Steelers' house, And the Steelers defense is ranked number one in forced fumbles with 13 right now. They lead the league in fumble recoveries with 8. And they also lead the league, or they're up there with defensive touchdowns. Basically, they've like returned. Two of the fumble recoveries have turned into a touchdown, and they've had an interception, like pick six for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So if there was any time for the defense to step up, it would be against the Titans. 0-3 on the road, new quarterback, coming off. He just a great performance, but let's be real, he's probably going to be brought back down to earth, especially if some of his weapons that are there are limited, like Derrick Henry or D Hopkins. Um, so and if we pull up the game log, I mean, against Cleveland, I mean, I'm seeing that they've had as high as 26 fantasy points. That is more than enough to be in the MVP spot. And again, this is a projected low scoring game. Um, you know, I just that will be one of my lineups for sure. I got so excited I can't go back. Okay. Um, and then as far as the kickers go, I definitely will be overexposed to Boswell. He The Steelers are 4 for 4, or Boswell is, for field goals between 50 and 59 yards. Um, they his longest is a 57 that he's actually made. And they do seem to be okay with field goals, and meaning that they attempt 2 to 4 a game. And unlike Tennessee, it just doesn't seem like they're attempting as many. They don't seem to feel as comfortable the further they get out. I will be overexposed to Boswell. I will have some of Tennessee's kicker with Falk, but I'll probably be a little bit under the field on him. And then as we kind of get down, towards the bottom ish, um, you know, you could really take any of these guys. That's once you get down to that 7K mark. You know, I don't really know what you're hoping for at that point. If two bad teams going against each other, and the score happens to be higher than the 36, let's say it's 50 or 48, something like that, then one of these other guys down here might get a chance at a touchdown or something. But I typically like to play stats. I don't like the shot in the dark type of stuff. I try to get contrarian with ownership or something somewhere else, rather than hoping that a certain guy gets on the field with an opportunity. What are some of your thoughts on the middle of the road, the defense, kickers, and towards the end?
Yeah, that's funny. I was about to quote the movie Troy, Achilles, and that's why no one will remember your name. No, no,
Yeah.
I fully agree for sure. The Nick Westbrook, behind, he's clearly the number two, the wide receiver two for Tennessee behind Hopkins. He's 3 touchdowns, so he's not too bad of a value play here at 8K. If you're looking to drop down, Spears, I believe he's actually on the. I saw that he is a waiver wire target, so be careful. I know the trade deadline was earlier today, but I saw that Spears' name was on here. So how that affects him being the running back 2, just keep an eye on that. And even then, he doesn't have the best of stats: 1 touchdown rushing, no receiving touchdowns. He did have, you kind of really banking on a touchdown for him to be viable. Allen Robinson, I mean, name jumps out to me, I believe, from the Jaguars, but I don't believe he's been at all productive this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when I clicked on him. I was like, oh yeah, Allen Robinson. Let's see what's up. And then Not a whole lot going
The
on.
one guy that kind of stands out down here, at least for me, is the tight end. I'm going to butcher this name, Okonoko. He doesn't seem to be getting too much, but at least he's highly targeted. 6'4", 3.442. So at least he's going to be getting targets. Um, Hopefully, one of those short ones will end up in a touchdown. So
Yeah.
it's not good, but if I
I mean,
had to drop down that low, he will probably be my play. Traylon Burks as well. 2 targets, 0 receptions, only one catch. So was that him or was that the quarterback? It was Cleveland's defense. So yeah, there's these value plays are. I agree. It's a shot in the dark, but might stick with the kickers and defense on there and kind of use those to shimmy in some of these higher value players.
yeah.
Speaking of these lineups, let's look at what a lineup that you've created and kind of break it down for us on why you went this path and
All right. Yeah, let me get that pulled up on my side. Boom. All right. So yeah, this was I mean, a lot of times the first lineup I generate before I do a whole lot of research or anything tends to do really well. It, as you can tell by looking at it, it definitely is on the chalkier side. I was uh, I was going to do a different lineup for this segment, just because I felt like this one was a little chalky. But I think going with two kickers on here, maybe not. But anyway, so my thought process here was, going back to the QB who had his great first start. Um, he is going up against arguably a better defense, possibly. I mean, at least from, the fumbles and the takeaways and that type of stuff. However, if he's got someone like D Hopkins and they clearly had some type of connection. I mean, for Hopkins to get 3 touchdowns in one game, that's who he feels good throwing the ball to. Then sign me up for that again. So I went ahead and went Levi's at MVP. And since it's a quarterback, you always want to link him up with a receiver. So I went to Hopkins. And then because I game script this game as being a low scoring, not great football being played, there's going to be turnovers. I don't see people converting on those turnovers. So the ball is just going to be kind of getting drug up and down the field. Um, so I see more field goals happening. So that's why I put both kickers in here. And then, going Pickens just because, it, the the thought process being if Pittsburgh is down, they're going to be throwing the ball. Plus, they like to throw the ball more than they do run anyway. Um, and if Tennessee happens to be up a little bit, then uh, I think Pickens is just a natural fit there, and that still left 500 salary remaining. Um, so again, this lineup is, I'm not gonna lie, it seems pretty chalky. Um, what I am going to do to kind of mix stuff up, um, let's see. I was working on a lineup. I do have one, and I know that, it's not going to be fully reflective of the one that's up there, but I have a lineup with Steelers at defense at MVP, and then Steelers kicker, and then Pickens, and then Pickett. So I have 4 Pittsburgh and then 1 from Tennessee, which will be DeAndre Hopkins. And that leaves $1,000 salary on the table. And that's basically saying the defense is going to win this game. And the kicker for the Steelers, they're going to get a bunch of turnovers, but those turnovers are probably only going to turn into field goals, not really touchdowns. Although a pick six with the defense or a fumble recovery touchdown would be great. And then, that means Tennessee will be playing from behind. They're going to have to throw the ball in the fourth quarter. And who better to throw to than D Hopkins, who had 3 touchdowns last game. So, as you can see, two of my staples would seem to be Pickens and Hopkins, and then Boswell. So, I mean, I still kept 3 people from my last lineup, but the way I'm moving it around, completely changes it. So, I don't mean to get you guys confused out there. My apologies. But I just wanted to give you a second lineup thought process after taking in the information, and getting to talk with my cousin about the game. Then this was the lineup that I wanted to stick in, and the lineup that I made after taking everything in. So any thoughts on the original lineup up there, and then also maybe the second one that I have before we jump to your lineup?
Yeah, I'll probably agree with you for the first lineup. Definitely, I think will be chalky because I believe you're going to get a lot of those game log trolls going after Levis for his performance last week. They just see one game, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 26 and some change fantasy points. Let me throw in him MVP. He's going to do it again, right?
Yeah.
So Willie, we don't know. I don't think I will have him necessarily as MVP in this case, or definitely at least will be under owned. I agree with Hopkins and Pickens and the kickers for sure. The second lineup, I think, leaning a little bit more towards just because how I see this game playing out, with Pittsburgh being the winner of this, and it's as a low scoring game with 36.5 being the over under, that 2.5 spread. That's basically 19.5. Steelers 17 points, Titans. So basically 20-17. Which basically amounts down to what, four or five field goals roughly in this game. So that based on where they're at, there's your points. So yeah, I would go with the second lineup, and then to be honest, you'll kind of see why here. Just switching over here to my lineup here. So I went similar to kind of what I did last week. If you did end up watching this last week, I went Diggs in the MVP and Josh Allen in the flex. So I'm going to follow that approach, even though Diggs let me down last week. But I'm hoping Pickens doesn't. So Pickens in my MVP to kind of set that that line, having the wide receiver and the MVP vice the quarterback, kind of hopefully separate the field just a little bit for myself. With Pickens technically being their number one, hopefully he gets the bulk of the shares. But DeAndre Johnson coming back, he did, as you stated earlier, again, I believe 14 targets last game. So hopefully he doesn't leach too many of those targets and or touchdowns. Kenny Pickett, I did have Mitch Trubisky in there, so it did hurt having him in a lineup. So I'm really glad I had to quickly switch that back over here before the show. So I'm glad it says Pickett and not Trubisky, because I would hate to try to justify to the audience on why I picked him. So DeAndre Hopkins, he's a beast. Last game, hopefully he can continue his success. Obviously I would love three touchdown game, but if I can get one and 70, 80 yards out of him, that'd be great. Steelers defense, and that's kind of all I really want from Hopkins, having the defense in the lineup. I'm hoping I can get double digits. Steelers, I believe, can hopefully get 3, 4, 5 sacks on the rookie quarterback. TJ Watts, he seems to be a beast, and like you mentioned before with those the fumble recoveries too, that adds up pretty quick. And then going with the Pittsburgh kicker since I believe like I said, going with the 20 points, that's at least 2-3 field goals. So hopefully he can confirm that. So I mean, what do you think? This is, I believe, similar to the lineup that you stated.
Yep, yeah, that's the only difference really is my Pittsburgh up at MVP versus your Pickens at MVP, which again, out of all you could make the argument, well, you could argue to put Hopkins up there as well. Or possibly Boswell. And these are just things for our audience to think of outside of the box. So when you do have a game script and you understand like, hey man, this is solid, and you're just not sure who to put at the MVP. If you have the bankroll, do a couple of lineups and keep the same five, but just change out the MVP. I mean, uh that's what a lot of pros do. That's what
That's sometimes all
uh
it takes.
yeah, dude, that literally is all it takes. And then when that type of lineup actually does hit, you're gonna take first, you'll take fifth, you'll take 10th, all the way down the line because you'll have picked the top five fantasy producers on your card, and then you switched each one out with the MVP, so you're right there. It's I've had the fortunate chance of that happening with me with basketball. If I could just hit that with football, I'd be a very happy man.
Nice.
But
So
yeah,
to
good.
kind of wrap things up here, who do you see as your probably your most valuable player on the slate and your most value value points per salary player?
So I think my best value and points per salary. Oh man, it's between Boswell and Um, the Steelers defense. Um, man, uh, I'm gonna go with. Uh, I usually go with the kicker. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with the Steelers defense.
Okay.
Um, it sounds wild, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just know that my one B for value would be Boswell. And as far as like my top must play, I'm it's gonna be DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, at 13,000, I mean, someone of his caliber on some other slates could be as high as 15, 16, 17,000, depending on the team and the slate and whatnot. And so to see someone with him with his type of upside, with the targets, new quarterback coming in, new connection with him seems to already be there. Um, if I was a new guy coming in, I'd be doing the same thing. Where's DeAndre Hopkins? Where's my top receiver? I'm giving him the ball. So, uh,
Nice.
as far as Tennessee goes, it would be, or just overall, I like Hopkins a lot. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I also love Derrick Henry. I do want to see, I am worried about the ankle. I know he's a tough son of a gun. But before I can commit on to how much exposure I'll have with Henry, because he is so high priced, I really want to know that he's locked in and going to be playing all the snaps before I commit to putting him in my lineups.
Uh, that's reasonable. I think
So,
my top player MVP I think will be Kenny Pickett in this one. I think he's going to light up the secondary of Tennessee. They're better known for their run defense and blocking or stopping the Pittsburgh running backs isn't going to be really an issue for them. I don't think so. I think he's going to have to light it up in the through the air, and hopefully he doesn't get too far ahead of Pickens. Hopefully all those points go to Pickens so that way they can both benefit at least my lineup. Best value play I think I'm going to go with as earlier. I think that Tennessee tight end Okanako Okanako guy I believe at 7K. Uh, I think he can. I think he can produce enough fantasy points to justify playing playing him, or at least I will be playing him in a few of my lineups as that that run back to my 4-1s, or have him in those 3-2 Steeler lineup, or like I said, the 4-1 Steeler lineups, instead of just keep going 4 Steelers, Tennessee kicker,
Right.
just to throw him in there at 7K. I can maybe get Pickens, Pickett, and Johnson. Just have the all-star
Yeah.
lineup for the Steelers there, and then have him, since he's such low price, and like I said, hopefully he sneaks in one of those touchdowns.
Which that is the time to do it with a new quarterback in there, because no one knows his tendency. No one knows who the ball is really going to go to. So, there might even be guys that we didn't even talk about that, might get elevated because they're who he always throws to at practice, or whoever's getting those second reps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Second team reps instead of first team. So definitely be on the lookout for those types of plays as you guys are all doing your research out there. If you do have any questions or anything like that, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Please put down in the comments what your top lineup looks like. Feel free to shred apart our lineups. If the rookie one, the pro one, if you think which one you think is going to win, which one you think has the chance to score more points, make more money. Yep, we'd like to hear from you. And other than that, we will be back for Sunday's game. This Sunday, we got an awesome game. We got the Bengals at the Buffalo Bills for Sunday Night Football. That one is going to be an awesome one to break down. A lot of fun. Any last words over there for you, David?
No, just like the pro said over there. Drop your comments, your questions, your your points of view down in the comments. We try to respond to every comment here, and just who do you think is going to make the cut out of these lineups? Let us know who you're going with. And on that, have a good one.